Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into episode 5 of Mets Get It On. We can take a deep breath, Mets fans. We are back at 500. It does not feel like we're a 500 ball club right now, but we are right there. Please, folks, go like and subscribe on my YouTube channel. Please give me 5 stars on the Spotify. Everything you can possibly do to support your guy will go a long way. And we are picking up steam. We are building this thing, and it's a one-way train to Metsland, baby. What a crazy, crazy series we just wrapped up against the Miami Marlins. These guys never make it easy. It feels like the team is really struggling offensively, and yet we took 2 out of 3 against Miami in Miami. Let's jump right into game 1. We got our guy David Peterson facing off against Cal Quantrill, and Peterson was nasty that day. Peterson pitched his 6 innings, gave up 2 earned runs while striking out 9. The man looked absolutely filthy, and he's starting to live up to my predictions as a guy who can potentially fight for an NL lead in wins. The real story here is the bats, right? These guys scored 5 runs in the first 3 games, and they put up 7 runs in the 5th inning of this first game alone. Let's dive right into this. Jose Siri rips an RBI double to score Luis Angel Acuna. And then after a Marte hit by pitch and a Soto walk, Alonso steps up to the plate. Pete, the pistol, the polar bear, Big Meat Pete, absolutely scorches a 400-foot grand salami to give the Mets a 6-1 lead. And the boys are buzzing. Forget about that slow offense. We are back in a big way, feeling like we're playing a lesser opponent, and we're going to step up, and this series might be easy. Later in that inning, Luis Torrens hits another bomb. The Mets take an 8-1 lead and end up pulling out a 10-4 win. At that time, we're going, okay, let's sweep the fish, man. Houston was a tougher opponent, and we're finally getting to play some lesser competition, and the Mets are going to prove the naysayers wrong. The offense looks gorgeous. We are back in a big way. Not so fast, folks. Not so fast. Game 2 brings the return of our beloved Ghost Fork slinging king, Kodai Senga, facing off against Sandy Alcantara, one of the best pitchers in the major leagues who may become a future Met. We're going to have to watch that one very closely. I was extremely excited to see Kodai back on a mound in a regular season game. Problem with this guy, it takes him a bit to settle in. Now, Senga has a 4.65 ERA in the first inning throughout his career. All other innings, he pitches to a 2.60 ERA. So this guy really needs some time to get his feel, to get his control down, to feel like he is settled in. And, yeah, it showed up immediately, right? The first inning gives up an instant double to Xavier Edwards, and then Kyle Stowers steps in, hits a 422-foot homer, and Kodai has given up 2 runs in the first. I'm texting my buddies. I'm concerned. Man, what is this going to look like for Kodai? Has he lost it? Is he not going to be the same guy after the injury, the injured calf that he had last year and all the shoulder issues? Then he snaps in and returns to the Ghost Fork dominance. Out of the next 9 Marlins batters who came up, he strikes out 7 out of 9. The Ghost Fork is making these guys look stupid, disappearing out of thin air, striking out batters. He's in complete control. These batters honestly look completely lost. It looked like he was facing off against kind of single A type of competition. So he was settled in after all those strikeouts. Unfortunately, with this guy, he can lose it sometimes as fast as he picks it up. So in the 4th inning, walks a man, gives up a 2-run double to Graham Pauley, and, he ends up with only 2 earned runs on his ledger, but he gives up 4, ends up going 5 innings pitched with 8 strikeouts. So, there was certainly a lot to love when you watch this start. But overall, it was a little bit shaky, and we're going to see, but I thought it was extremely encouraging. When he is in control, he's one of the nastiest pitchers in the MLB. Biggest issue is he was facing off against another ace in Sandy Alcantara, who looked unbelievable, gave up 2 earned runs over 5 innings. The Mets offense was sputtering, couldn't really do anything from there. And long story short, Game 2 ends in a tough 4-2 loss. Where did all that offense go? Kind of disappeared in Game 2. But the real story of this series, the one that really set my blood pressure up and caused me fits, made me feel like I'm going to have gray hair prematurely, was Game 3. We had Clay Holmes pitching, second start of the season, against Connor Gillespie. Now, Holmes, obviously, I said this guy's going to be an all-star. He looked shaky again. He had only 1 strikeout in 4 2/3 innings pitched. My guy, Willie Allisberg, told me essentially Holmes looks like the Yankees closer version of Holmes, but he's doing it as a starter. A lot of guys are on the base paths. He doesn't look fully comfortable. I'm hoping he can kind of snap into things and return to that form that we want. Later in the game, our guy Pete Alonso, fresh off of that grand salami, rips an RBI double. And then, Mark Vientos has been struggling a bit in the field, made a pretty bad error, and the Marlins get out to a 2-1 lead. Really all that matters about this game was the 7th inning onwards. Our guy A.J. Minter, I don't know if he's just a little rusty coming back and getting back to full health, but as soon as he steps out in the 7th inning, this guy gives up a ground rule double. 2 batters later, this is when it gets a little bit Metsy. Minter, trying to stop his release, completely falls on his face, gives up a balk. The Marlins end up scoring 2 more runs to take a 4-1 lead, and things are looking very, very dark. You cannot drop 2 out of 3 to the Marlins. But the boys have that 2024 Miracle Mets kind of energy. In the 8th inning, down 4-1, Luis Torrens rips a single. Our guy, Francisco Lindor, if you're watching, you can see I got that Francisco Lindor tee. He rips another single. Juan Soto steps up, grounds out, and then up steps Pete Alonso, a man who looks like he is on the warpath this year. They're down 3 runs. As hope is failing us, it looks like the Mets are sputtering, about to drop 2 out of 3 to the Marlins. Alonso has the hit of the season so far, 415-foot shot straight away, center field, baby, and the Mets have tied things up, tied up the game 4-4. My guy Jake Mosdeen called it, told me Pete is literally about to hit an absolute tank job. And what does he do? He gets us back with a gorgeous, deep bomb to center field that ties up the game at 4-4. This is just the beginning of it, folks. In the 8th inning, Edwin Diaz steps in, and he doesn't like to make it easy. He immediately gives up an infield single. Next, he allows a steal, and then he throws a wild pitch. So things are looking dicey. Did Pete just hit that home run for nothing? Next batter comes up, and Edwin smokes him with that high fastball. Griffin Conine comes up next, hits a ground out to Brett Beatty. Brett Beatty has an easy play at home. He throws it to the wrong side of the plate. Things do not look good. They're scoring it a run on the field, but Luis Torrens dived across home plate and makes an unbelievable tag. After a review, the play on the field is overturned, and the Mets stay alive, baby. And we are headed to extra innings. Honestly, this felt like a September ball game for me. I was absolutely losing my mind. Regardless, the Mets stay alive. There's no runs on either side. In the 10th, Jose Butto comes on, throws a beautiful 10th inning. 11th inning. On to the 11th. It is too early in the season for me to be this stressed out. Mets actually load the bases. Jesse Winker comes up, scores on a walk, man. It felt like the Marlins were kind of trying to give us this game a little bit. Mark Vientos grounds into a fielder's choice. We've got 2 runs. We should have had a heck of a lot more. Luis Angel Acuna grounds into a double play. We could have scored a 5 spot and made this relaxing, but, you know, it's the Mets, it's the Marlins, it's early in the season, and this type of stuff happens. But we head into the bottom of the 11th up to 6-4. Who comes in? Danny Young, the lefty reliever. I am really not enjoying what this guy is contributing to the squad early on in the year. He comes on, gives up a single, gives up a walk, and now we've got the bases. It's out of control. Anyways, Griffin Conant comes up, flies out. We got 2 outs. We're in a decent position. They're still threatening. What happens from there? But Otto Lopez comes up with Huáscar Brazoban. Huáscar strikes him out, gets his first career save at age 35, and the Mets pull out a absolutely white-knuckle ball game to take the series. Look, folks, the Marlins are trying to lose games right now. It feels like we're 0-6, but look, we are 3-3, and we are in a great spot. Where the hell would we be, and where would this club be without the polar bear, Pete Alonso? Guy hits a grand slam on Monday, hits the biggest hit of the year, an absolutely massive 3-run homer to save the game on Wednesday. He's got 2 quick homers to start the season. He's got 8 RBIs. This guy's been our saving grace. The offense is struggling, but he looks super relaxed in this contract year, part 2. My 35 homers over bet, it looks pretty good, Knoxy. It looks pretty good. So just take the wins where you can get them, especially early in the season. But 2 guys that I'm very concerned with. Brett Beatty, he does not look like he is ready when the lights turn on. We said we were excited for him, and he always rakes during spring training, always crushes it in AAA. Well, the lights have turned on. These games count. And he's 1 for 14 with an .071 batting average. I think you got to send this guy down. He just doesn't look ready. Luis Angel Acuna is struggling, but he doesn't look too small for the moment. He doesn't look afraid. And Brett Beatty looks like a guy who's just playing nervous. And Danny Young, 7.71 ERA. We got way too talented of a bullpen for this guy to stick around. We got to bring Dedniel Nunez up or somebody. Just get this guy off the roster. But bottom line, the Metsies are back to 3-3, and boy, oh boy, does it feel nice that we are headed back to Citi Field for the home opener on Friday morning. Who are we facing in this home opener that I am so fired up about? It's the Toronto Blue Jays. And the Blue Jays have a lot to prove this year. They could be sellers at the deadline, or they could try to make one last push with the talent that they have on their team. Vlad Guerrero is at first base. We all know he's looking for a monster contract in the offseason. He could be headed to Queens if things don't work out with Pete. So, this is going to be a huge prove-it series. We're really excited to get some home cooking back at Citi Field. Game 1. Tylor, the Big Drip McGill, facing off against Kevin Gausman, who got his first win of the season earlier this week. Looks incredibly sharp. I love what we've seen out of Tylor. It's time for the bats to come out. We got kind of some warm weather going on in Queens, and hopefully the bats can wake up and we can take advantage. Gausman is not going to make it easy, but it's opening day at Citi, and hopefully the bats come out in a big way. We step up, and we start getting this train rolling in the right direction. Game 2, a familiar face that we're going to be going up against. Ex-Met, who had his trials and tribulations, but mostly a great season in 2022, Chris Bassett. this guy's tough. He's been, a top-end 2-starter for years now. He is not going to make things easy. And we have Griffin Canning, who had an unbelievable first start, but is certainly not a proven commodity. So this is going to be a big moment for these guys, the McGills of the world, the Cannings of the world, who want to show that they can stick around when, Montas and Minaya come back healthy. Who's going to get that last spot in the rotation? These guys are going to be juking it out. Hopefully the offense can step up and we can take at least one of those games as we head to Game 3 of the series on Sunday afternoon. The Blue Jays have a guy named Bowden Francis, who I really, really love. He went 8-5 with a 3.3 ERA in his first full season. This guy's got some moxie. He's got the necklaces. He's got the chains going on. I love what he's bringing. But he's going to be facing off against our kind of de facto ace at the moment, our steadiest force in the rotation, David Peterson. Coming off that 6 innings pitch with 2 earned runs, can he lead the National League in wins as I predicted? We'll see, but I'm telling you, the bats always come out when this guy is on the mound. So I feel really good about that Game 3. The real question is, can we get a win with McGill or Canning in Games 1 or 2 against the Toronto Blue Jays? There's one thing that's going to need to change if we're going to get this ball club competing for a playoff spot, and that is the offense really, really needs to step up. Lindor has been struggling. We know that he does this in March. He does this in April. We're hoping he can turn it around very quickly. Mark Vientos looks a little bit lost out there. You're seeing him, throwing things in the dugout, kind of looking shaky mentally, which is not something we saw all of last season. He's not used to struggling at this level. He hasn't faced adversity yet. So we'll see if Mark Vientos can right the ship. I feel confident that he can. There's too many bats around him. He's got too much support. So hopefully Mark Vientos, Swaggy V, can step it up a little bit. And look, Soto has slowed down a little bit. He gets on base. He's always going to get on base. But, he looks a little bit tight as the offense looks a little bit tight. Currently, the Mets are 21st in the MLB with 23 runs scored. That's despite the 10 runs on Monday. So this is one of the outside of that one game, the lowest producing offenses in the league. And I just don't think that is who the Mets are. I think we're going to turn things around, and I'm really excited for some home cooking at Citi Field. I feel extremely optimistic when I look at the schedule, right? We got the Blue Jays. Right after that, we got the Marlins, this time in our house. We better take 2 out of 3 from the frickin' fish. We got to fry the fish, man. And then we got the Sacramento, or who the heck knows exactly where they are playing these days, A's. They got some familiar faces with Luis Severino and others. Brent Rooker, a great hitter. And they're a good story, but we got to take advantage of them on the schedule. And then from there, the St. Louis Cardinals. So I think this is a really golden opportunity for the offense to get going, for the team to step up, for us to really jump in front of that 500 mark and kind of take off running and hopefully keep that momentum going for the rest of what should be a beautiful and eventful year. But those type of series against the Marlins remind me, man, we do not like playing lesser competition sometimes, and things are always going to end up scary. But bottom line, 2 out of 3 from the Marlins. I know I would have a very different tone if we had lost that game, but we didn't. A win is a win, and we're back at 500. I want to give a big shout-out to my guy, JR, John Riley. Guy bleeds orange and blue. Also happens to be my boss, so you got to put in a good word. Shout-out to you, JR. Boys, let's keep winning ball games. Let's get hot. And let's just look at this early season offensive struggles as a little blip on the radar and really get cooking, baby. Well, please go like and subscribe where you can. Go follow. Go give me some support so we can keep this thing going. We want to build this up and start something beautiful. Only thing left to say as I depart, as always, is Mets, get it on!